Hey everybody, Mike Desepoli, Heritage Financial Advisory Group. Thanks so much for watching this video. With the first quarter behind us, it's time for another portfolio and economic update. Since the beginning of the year, there's been no shortage of news headlines to keep track of, so we'd like to highlight a couple of the key focus areas that we're looking at to let you know what we expect to happen in the weeks and months ahead. Obviously, since the beginning of the new year, there's been no shortage of headlines about the newly elected 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. So why the excitement about President Trump in relation to the financial markets? Well, obviously, this is the first true businessman that the White House has ever seen, and there's a lot of expectations around Trump and what his policies might look like and how they may benefit certain areas of the economy. While we don't have all the time to go through all of his proposed policy changes, the two items at the top of the agenda that have seen a lot of focus this quarter is healthcare reform, namely repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act, and tax reform. Those are the first two items on the Trump agenda, and they have told us we're going to tackle healthcare reform first and tax reform second. I'm of the opinion that the markets, the stock markets that is, are more excited about the concept of tax reform than they are about healthcare reform, but nonetheless, we got to get through healthcare before we can tackle taxes. In the Republicans' first attempt to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, they were met with heavy resistance and did not have enough votes to pass the bill. They've gone on their 2-week congressional recess, and when they return, they'll take another shot at it to see if maybe they can change that bill in a way to appease enough people and attain the votes that they need for passage. We got to keep an eye on that because, like I said, we really are anticipating that tax reform that comes second, but we can't move on to item number 2 on the list until we get through item number 1. Currently, the Trump administration is expecting an August to September timeline for when they think they could get through a tax reform bill. But if the healthcare bill takes longer than expected, that will prolong the timeline for healthcare reform. And the stock market is not likely to be a fan of that much at all. Now, why does the stock market want to see tax reform? Well, cutting of the corporate and individual taxes will have widespread economic benefits across the board. Cutting corporate taxes will make our business environment more competitive with the rest of the world, perhaps encourage some international companies that operate overseas to move their operation here to the United States if our tax code becomes more competitive with some of these other countries that we're competing with. Bringing more companies into our country would bring more jobs, and that would stimulate economic growth. On the individual side, cutting individual taxes would put more money in the pockets of everyday consumers. Generally, that money trickles back into the economy through discretionary spending, which can drive growth. Obviously, we would welcome those tax cuts across the board. As we move forward, there's a lot of geopolitical tensions right now around the world. Syria, Iraq, North Korea, Russia. There's a lot to keep track of right now, and obviously anytime there's talk of war or geopolitical tensions rise up, the stock market's going to get a little bit nervous about something like that. As of this video being recorded, we just dropped the largest bomb, non-nuclear bomb in the history of the world today on Iraq in an attempt to take out some underground tunnels that ISIS has been operating in that country. And last week, Donald Trump fired 59 missiles off at Syria in response to one of the humanitarian crises that is occurring right now with the leader of Syria inflicting harmful gases upon his own people. Obviously, we're not planning our portfolio around anticipated geopolitical events. We can't plan for things like these, nor would we try. We will evaluate each event as it unfolds, and we ask ourselves the question, does this change the strategy that we currently have in place, or does this change the direction of the United States economy? Right now, to this point, no event that has occurred has changed either one of those things for us, but we'll continue to monitor these situations as they develop. Obviously, North Korea, you're dealing with a leader over there that's very much unhinged. You're not really sure what you're going to get. So we're going to monitor the situations very closely. But like I said, we don't manage a portfolio trying to anticipate these events. That's a fool's errand. We don't have a crystal ball, and that wouldn't be doing anybody any good at all. Moving ahead, obviously with Donald Trump in the White House and a proposed America First agenda, we want to continue to focus our investments right here in the United States. We want to be all domestic at this time. We think that the United States presents the best investing opportunities worldwide. Europe has a lot of different issues that they're still working out in regards to Brexit, Great Britain trying to break away from the European Union. Greece's debt issues are popping back up onto the radar again. Obviously, China's economy has been slowing down for some time. So there's just far too much risk and not enough reward right now for us to step outside the United States. And like I said, if we get that proposed tax reform, if it actually comes through later in the year, that will take companies that we already own and make them more profitable. Because essentially you cut the tax rate, even if they made the same amount of money last year versus this year, companies immediately become more profitable with that tax saving. So that's something we're very excited about. If you have any questions about the things we discussed here in the video, geopolitical tensions, tax reform, healthcare reform, or really anything else that's going on right now in the world, we'd be happy to talk with you. Give us a call, send us an email. We always enjoy a chat. If there's anybody out there you want to share this video with, you think they could benefit from the information here within, please go right ahead, email this video to them, forward it to them. We're always looking to have conversations with new people. If there's anybody out there we can help and give them some financial clarity, we'd be happy to do that. And lastly, please connect with us. If you're on Facebook, connect with us on social media. We have a Facebook page. We push out a lot of great news updates and timely, informative things there. We'd love you to go and like our page and stay in touch with us other ways as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.